So hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A pleasure
Hello.
to have you here with us in beautiful Marrakech.
Very beautiful.
Maybe you could begin with a brief introduction to your film, Autobiography. What can audiences expect when they watch it?
I think the first thing that audience can expect is intensity. It's an intense film and atmosphere. So if you're an audience that likes to be kept at the edge of your seat with your own anticipation, I think it's a perfect film for you.
Tell us a bit about the genesis of this project. Where did you get the initial inspiration for the film? And why are you compelled to tell it on the big screen?
Well, I think it's inspired by my relationship with my own family. We're kind of like a family that worked for the regime in the past during the Indonesian military dictatorship. When I remember that time now, I was like, it's quite an intense time. But how do I tell this story to people? If I tell them it was intense, it's a description. So I just want to like, why don't I try to sort of visualize it differently in a very small scale, like between two characters, just so that the audience can have a glimpse into such a power sort of like filled relationship.
And I believe you were a film critic, is that right? Before you.
I mean, I used to be like at some point I had to stop because I felt an ethical problem like making a film and like reviewing other films. I was like, no, you cannot be a restaurant critic while being a chef at the same time.
But how do you think, I guess, your knowledge of film, your understanding of film, you must have watched a lot of cinema. How did that kind of inform your approach as a filmmaker? And what filmmakers in particular might have inspired you, or films that you think infused your own approach?
I mean, it informs the creative process in a good and a bad way because sometimes like it's good because I mean like being when I work as a film critic, like I watched a lot of films, so it's kind of like also shaping my instinct in a way. So there are a lot of decisions in the making of the film that I cannot really tell why am I deciding this way, but I guess that comes from like all the films that I've watched before. So it helps in that way, but also sometimes I feel that sometimes I think too much. What will the people's reaction to this? Because I'm used to reacting to films. So, but I think it's a very nice process of dialogue between me as a director and me as as a former film reviewer, I would say. But I like it. I think. It's not that to say that a film critic should be a filmmaker or vice versa, but because it's a very different craftsmanship, it's a very different technique, and but it comes from the same place that is love for cinema, I would say.
And in terms of your idols,
Oh, I mean, like a lot, but I'm a fan of Hollywood films, like especially like from the 50s. Like Elia Kazan is one of my favorite director. Michelangelo Antonioni. I mean, like it's not to say that my film looks similar to their films because they're masters, but like I really dig into their films. And Michael Haneke, for example, Lucrezia Martel, different kind of filmmakers from different era and different regions.
and coming to your cast, how did you decide who you can have in your film, and how did you work with them to achieve your vision?
I think I was looking for a face because the film face is very important in the film. I already knew from the beginning that I will use a lot of close-ups, so I think face is very important because face is the main landscape of the film. It's not like beautiful Marrakech, but it's just like this. And so I was looking for this, and I was looking for like actors with intensity that they can really give the whole muscle movement, facial movement into the film. And we worked together for 2 years to prep like the rehearsal. It was 2 years on and off. I mean, like of course when they need money they go and take other projects, but after that they come back and we work on the script together on the last parts of the script when they feel that this dialogue, yes, it's good, but I cannot feel it, so we changed and we revised. So it was we rehearsed for quite a lot, I think. But this is the part that I enjoy most from filmmaking is like working with actors because it's really like finding layers of human being. And it's an honor for a director when your actor also put their life story and recall their own emotions and painful experiences and to really give it to the film. I think it's a very generous act.
And in terms of the look and feel of the film and that kind of thriller edge and the intensity of it, what did you want to achieve, and what kind of tools did you use to try and have that texture to it that you wanted?
I think at the forefront of the film is acting. It's a very acting-driven film. Like in the editing, we don't change much, the acting has to. I mean, like I have to feel it on the set because, like in some other films, like maybe we can fix it in the editing. We will find the tempo in the editing. We will put sound. But with this film, I have to feel the acting is giving it intensity. So I think acting and the second is camera movement. I would say is two of the most important, and sound, of course, because in the film we don't see much, so we should be informed about the space and the milieu, the context from the sound. So we work a lot also on the sound design.
Going on the journey, like you're saying 2 years, in the making, what might have been some of the challenges you faced along the way? But on the other side of it, what were some of the highlights?
I think the challenge is for me like to really think about what does control mean for a director, like because like a director like it's like you should have it your own way, but sometimes the challenge is to let go and to give it to reality, to also take part in the film and to give shapes into the film. I think this is the biggest challenge, not to try to control the film 100%, but also it's one of the most enjoyable thing when you give chance to lights, to colors you find on the location to participate in the film also. I think that's why filmmaking can be so addictive.
And I guess you can say the personal and the political kind of combine in the narrow story of the characters. But then, what do you think some of the themes are that might emerge from it about kind of corruption, about giving people an insight into that situation in Indonesia? What do you think people can take away?
I think first, introducing our country is not like the priority of the film, but it's really about this concept of loyalty. Like, how can you really be yourself while at the same time being loyal to people around you? I mean, this is like the first theme that we want to explore in the film: the concept of loyalty, obedience, and secondly, of course, like in such a society where the state constantly try to interfere in your morality sort of its citizen, what how can you deal with this? And the third is, I think I want to explore questions. So like, where do we go from here? After what is, because like in the film it's kind of like a journey towards freedom, but in many cases like freedom can be seen as like a happy ending of someone, like a journey towards freedom. But is that it? Like the film Autobiography tries to sort of like what comes with freedom, what is the repercussions of freedom, what is in there after you achieve the so-called freedom. I'm sure there is a side effect, but what is it? So I think the film is more of a question. I mean, like it doesn't give you answer. So if you're looking for an answer, I think this is not a film for you. But if you are having a lot of questions, I think the film can be a good friend and in asking the questions together.
And thinking of the journey the film's been on already, in terms of film festivals and audiences, and we're talking about, our magazine, getting good responses. What does that mean to you? And I guess being able to bring it to a wider audience.
Yeah, it means a lot because it's only my first feature film, and the review from the upcoming was one of the first ones. I was like, really? I was reading it. Is the film this good? There's always this, like self doubt. Like, I think he's describing the film better than the film. there's always this. There's always this feeling, and sometimes I still read it now. And I was like, okay, I still trying to process. But yeah, we've been on a very good festival run. I think very good, meaning that it's beyond my wildest imagination when we started the journey, and prizes and all that. So we are really looking forward to bring it to wider audiences. We screened in BFI London last month, and amazing responses. Also, I wish I could be there, but I couldn't. But like I received so many messages, emails, and I'm very happy that people are enjoying it, even when they don't know anything about our country, but they can still get many things from the films.
And what about being here specifically in Marrakech? It feels like it's a special festival, but it's also, yeah, a different audience than there's a
Yes.
big domination, isn't there, of the festivals in Europe and Venice and Cannes,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's kind of nice also to get out to
course.
countries like this as well.
Yeah, I think the best thing for a filmmaker to go to festival is what kind of audiences. I think this is like I'm always motivated to meet the audiences. What will be the response to the film? I'm sure when they invited us, my first question was like, oh, how will the audiences in Marrakech see this kind of film? And yesterday, our first screening was they clapped, mean they get it. They can feel something. Yeah, I'm like very happy. My Q&A is this afternoon, so I'm very curious to see what kind of questions and what kind of responses will the film get. But yeah, it's a huge festival. It looks very different, but it's very big. So yeah, I'm like we are very happy that we can meet different kind of audiences.
And how do you see the health of the cinema industry, kind of, I guess, more generally, but particularly coming from Indonesia? And I guess the opportunities for diverse stories to be told. And it can sometimes feel like at film festivals, you do get more of a diversity, but it's kind of harder maybe to break into the mainstream.
Yes. But I think nowadays people don't really care about Indonesian film, Paraguayan film, South African film. I mean, like people are so used to diversity that they don't really consider the origins of a film anymore. They just want to see good film. If the film is good, if the film speaks something to them, of course they will come and watch it. So I think it also helps us in terms of in Indonesia, for example, to not really think about the country or the context or whatever. Just focus on telling good stories, create compelling characters, and I think the film will have a life on its own.
And why might it be important though to have kind of a diversity of representation on screen? I think there's something there about the power of cinema to enable people to have empathy beyond their own life experience, and hopefully to become more open-minded and understand different cultures better.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, but sometimes in cinema, representation is automatic. When you see like an Indonesian character on the screen, you don't have to say too much about it. It's already a representation on its own. Cinema is a representative arts. So what I'm trying to think is actually the opposite. How can we find the common emotion, the common perspective towards things, regardless or where you are coming from, because I think we are super divided now. Like we are super connected, but also super divided. So I think in looking for stories, I'm more into, for example, if I experience something, it's a very Indonesian emotions, but sometimes I think about it, will people in Romania also feel the same thing? Will people in South Africa also feel the same thing? Because I think that's the beauty, that's what makes cinema universal also.
And just finally, very quickly, do you know what you're going to work on next? Have you got another project in mind?
Yes, I'm working on something. I'm writing another like film that also thrives on intense atmosphere, because I like this kind of film. I like film that sort of like keep me at the edge of my seat and already sort of knowing what the outcome will be, but still anticipating. So this yeah, I'm writing also based on my own experience.
And in terms of your future aspirations, do you have an actor you'd love to work with, a genre you'd like to try, a place you'd like to go and shoot? Do you have any like bucket lists?
Oh, like I would love to shoot in English language. Like this is like the dream, but I mean it's far. But yeah, I would love, because I'm a fan of Hollywood films. Like so I would love to try, and yeah, I want to try.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. I really enjoy doing your Q&A and your time here in Marrakech. Thank you very much.